When you think of European MMA, your first thought might go to a place like Britain, Russia, and the Netherlands. But in recent years, it's Poland that staked its claim as the continent's biggest powerhouse. Today, we look at the best that Polish MMA has to offer, from cult heroes on the national scene to some of the sport's biggest stars. Welcome to the INC, and these are the 5 greatest Polish MMA fighters. Number 5. Mateusz Gamrot. KSW is considered one of Europe's biggest MMA promotions, and for nearly a decade, Mateusz Gamrot was one of its brightest stars. After starting his career with the Night of Champions promotion, Gamrot made his KSW debut in 2012, making an impact with a 6-fight winning streak, including a win over UFC veteran Andre Winner. Most of Gamrot's early success came from his groundwork. The gamer mixed his early career with success in grappling tournaments, becoming a 2-time ADCC European champion, and even holding his own against jiu-jitsu legend Gary Tonin. By 2016, Gamrot had added a striking game to match his grappling, and after claiming the KSW lightweight title, he was given the chance to be a 2-weight champ against former featherweight king Kaliber Erbst. After a close start, Gamrot's power and constant takedowns proved too much for his Brazilian opponent, with Gamrot claiming a 5-round decision and becoming the first man in company history to hold 2 titles simultaneously. Gamrot is best known for his feud with Ultimate Fighter winner Norman Park, contesting a trio of ill-tempered matches that saw everything from biting, eye pokes, and even a post-fight brawl, before Gamrot ended the rivalry via doctor stoppage in 2018. Gamrot finally made his UFC debut in a Fight of the Night performance in October 2020, hoping to replicate the same performances that saw him become a cult favorite for European fans, or render this list obsolete in a few years' time. Number 4. Karolina Kowalkiewicz. While overshadowed by one of her strawweight compatriots, Karolina Kowalkiewicz did enough to make her own name in the sport's biggest stage. Karolina's road to MMA was a strange one. At the age of 16, she and her sister attended a self-defense class which blossomed into a love of Muay Thai, and after 2 amateur fights, she made her professional debut in 2012. Like her compatriots, Karolina plied her early trade in KSW, winning the company's flyweight title in the process, and after a short run with Invicta, she was signed to the UFC with a 7-0 record. Karolina caused an immediate stir upon arriving in the octagon, claiming wins over strawweight staples Heather Clark and Rhonda Marcos, as well as earning a cult following thanks to her endearing personality and hardy fighting style. 2016 would be Karolina's breakout year, as victory over future champion Rose Namajunas earned her a shot against strawweight queen Joanna Jedrzejczyk, where despite coming up short, gave the longtime champion one of the biggest scares of her career to that date. Sadly, the Joanna fight would be the high point of Karolina's career, as a 4-fight losing streak, added with her focus on starting a family, saw her slide down the UFC rankings. At her peak, Karolina staked a claim as one of the UFC's most popular fighters, and having started the latest chapter of her life, now has time for her second great love.
After my fight, I can eat some cookies. I love cookies. But now I can't eat cookies. And this is very sad, because I love cookies.
Number 3. Mahmed Halidov. Mahmed Halidov can stake a claim as not only Poland's greatest fighter, but one of the best fighters to never compete for the UFC. Halidov spent his early career bouncing around regional promotions in Poland and Lithuania, where he amassed an 11-3 record, even enjoying a short run in the US where he beat Jason Guida for Elite XC. It was with KSW, however, that Halidov's legend flourished. Between 2007 and 2017, Halidov held the distinction of never losing a fight with the promotion, a 20-fight run which included wins over Matt Lindland, Kendall Grove, and Melvin Manhoef. It wasn't just Halidov's winning streak that made him notorious. A combination of striking, power, and grappling prowess made him a danger in every area of the fight, with all but 4 of his wins coming within the distance. As Halidov's run increased, so did his share of gold, winning the KSW light heavyweight title in 2009 before adding the middleweight belt 6 years later, making him the first man to win titles in 2 weight classes for the promotion. Halidov's run finally came to an end after a submission loss to Tomasz Narkun, and having entered his 40s, many questioned whether he could return to title glory. But as the old saying goes, the oldest dog sometimes has the biggest bite.
Oh! There's a big right hand, it's a knockdown! Mahmed Halidov has done it! It's all over! It's a knockdown!
Number 2. Jan Blachowicz. The rise of Jan Blachowicz may be considered the best turnaround in MMA history. Blachowicz followed the path of his compatriots by starting his career in KSW, opening his tenure with a one-night tournament that saw him claim 3 wins in a single night. A run as light heavyweight champion soon followed before the Prince of Chechnya was coaxed to the UFC with an 18-3 record. Blachowicz struggled to find his feet in the UFC, winning 2 of his first 6 fights, including a decision loss to Pat Cummins at UFC 210. And by the time he faced Devin Clark at Fight Night Gdansk, questions were raised over whether he was worthy of being in the UFC. The Clark fight would prove a turning point, as Blachowicz won 7 of his next 8 fights, including avenging 2 of his UFC losses, combining a much improved grappling game with crisp striking, and his now legendary Polish power.
With so much time being spent.
Huge look from Blachowicz! Calls out Jan Blachowicz!
Blachowicz's career culminated in 2020, where a first-round knockout of Corey Anderson earned him a match with Dominic Reyes for the vacant light heavyweight championship. Blachowicz becoming the first man to stop the Devastator and one of the most unlikely champions in UFC history. Blachowicz's rise has been one of the best stories of a difficult 2020 in MMA, and regardless of what his title reign entails, you can guarantee his Polish fandom will be there to support him all the way. Number 1. Joanna Jedrzejczyk. Blachowicz's title reign may be beginning, but he'll have to go away to match the achievements of Joanna Jedrzejczyk. Fighting was a part of Joanna's life from the very beginning. At the age of 16, she competed in her first Muay Thai event, becoming a 5-time IFMA gold medalist, as well as a multiple-time kickboxing champion, before making her MMA debut with regional events in Poland and the UK. After starting her career with a 6-0 record, Joanna was one of the first fighters signed to the UFC's strawweight division, and after winning her first 2 fights, she was chosen as the first challenger to new champion Carla Esparza. Joanna would dominate the fight, neutralizing Esparza's takedown attempts before finishing her overmatched opponent late in the 2nd round.
It is all over! Joanna Jedrzejczyk is the new UFC Women's Strawweight Champion!
The fight would be a sign of things to come, as Joanna embarked on a 3-year reign which saw her use her acclaimed striking game to dominate her opponents, becoming a 4-time performance bonus winner and claim victories over Jessica Pena, Claudia Gadelha, and Jessica Andrade. Joanna's performances soon had an impact outside of the octagon as well. Her aggressive style and brash trash talk made her one of the sport's most popular fighters, and by 2017 was described by UFC President Dana White as the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Although Joanna's reign ended at the hands of Rose Namajunas, she still remains one of the most respected fighters in the sport, challenging Valentina Shevchenko for the flyweight title before her epic battle with Zhang Weili at UFC 248, a match widely considered as the greatest fight in women's MMA history. Joanna's record stands at 16 wins and 4 losses, but regardless of which direction she takes her career, she'll do so having secured her place as one of the female division's all-time greats. And now, time for a few honorable mentions. Krzysztof Sosinski was one of the UFC's most entertaining fighters in the late 2000s, including wins over Brian Stann and Ultimate Fighter legend Stephan Bonner. Marcin Held used his submission prowess to become one of Bellator's most dangerous lightweights. Mariusz Pudzianowski successfully transitioned to MMA after his career as a strongman. His venture into music, however, not so much.
I'm too sexy for my share, too sexy for my share, so sexy it's hard.
This is the INC. Dziękuję za obejrzenie.